Bienvenidos al podcast de Entreprenup de Keep It Up Show, un espacio creado por dos emprendedores en el que traemos a gente chingona e increíble que están cambiando la forma de ver y hacer las cosas. Cada martes, jueves y sábado podrás escuchar un nuevo episodio donde encontrarás información que te ayude a impulsar tus ideas, empresa y sobre todo, tus sueños. Antes de comenzar, si nos estás escuchando en YouTube, apóyanos con un like, dándole click a la campanita y suscribiéndote al canal. Y en Spotify, dándonos seguir. Hoy tenemos de invitado a Michael Flowers Jr., actor, escritor y productor ganador de múltiples premios en la industria del entretenimiento y actualmente participante en la serie de Amazon Double Cross. Hablaremos con Michael sobre las ventajas que tu percepción esté constantemente cambiando, las dificultades de balancear diferentes talentos y los retos de tener los mismos sueños que mucha gente. Hola, muy buenas tardes y bienvenidos a otro episodio de The Keep It Up Show. Aquí Sebastián Aguiluz, cofundador y CEO de Entreprenup, y estoy con Michael Flowers Jr., que es un actor, productor, director, ganador de premios. Por el resto de la entrevista haremos la entrevista en inglés, entonces pues perdonen mi inglés, pero déjenle doy la bienvenida a Michael. Hi Michael, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Really glad to have you here. So, Michael, for the people who are unfamiliar with you, could you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay. Well, a couple of things. So, I'm an actor. I'm on a show called Double Cross. It's on Amazon.com now. I have a recurring guest star role on the show. I've been acting for probably maybe about a little over 25 years. And I'm also a producer, an executive producer for on my own projects, but also I work for an ad agency called Amusement Park Entertainment. Every now and then I do TV shows and commercials with them, and also create content for big brands like Tide or JBL or Shell or companies like that. I'm also an entrepreneur. You can find my website. It's www.kingmeacademy.com, where I sell cologne and t-shirts. So I'm also a screenwriter. I have a couple of movies that I should be pushing out starting next year. So that's 2022. Also, I'm working on an animated show right now called The Adventures of Recess Sean. And it's a show about a kid that has ADHD. A little kid like me. So that's who I am, and that's part of what I do. That's mostly what I do.
Perfect. And can you tell us your secret origin? How did you find yourself on this world of acting, writing, producing, etc.?
Okay, so the question is, how did I find my way into the business? So I would say long time ago, my church, Springfield Baptist Church, we had this competition called the Springfield, the Mr. Miss Springfield contest. And I won. And after the show, this guy came up to me and he said, you should think about a career in acting. And that was the year I was getting ready to go to college. And so while I was in college, I goofed around a little bit, and then I got my heart broke. Oh, still broke my heart. And my professor thought that maybe if I got into the theater program, that would assist me in therapy. And so I did that, and I won a bunch of awards at Claflin University. Then I went off and I moved to Los Angeles, where they say that's where dreams happen. And so I moved out to LA with $800, thinking that I had a bunch of money. And it's proved later that $800 isn't a lot of money to move anywhere. So I just started auditioning, getting to know who I was, experiencing life a bit. And then I I started little by little finding out, the how-tos of, bursting on the scene and living this dream. And little by little, I started connecting the dots, and it started making sense for myself. And I started, realizing what my path was. And then I jumped on my surfboard of a path, and I just started riding the wave. So that was the way that things started for me.
Perfect. Has your perception of the industry changed from when you were an outsider from the moment that you entered it? Has your perception of how this industry works changed at all, or are you simply living the dream?
No, my perception is ever changing. When I first moved to LA, and this was truly a thought. I said, when I moved to LA, I'm going to be the next Denzel Washington. Wait till LA gets a load of me. And then I moved to LA, and I was surprised that everybody else moved to LA at the same time with the same exact thoughts. So, so I tried to figure out how this works. And then I started realizing people like Spike Lee, people like Adam Sandler, what they did was they developed their own network, they developed their own team, and they moved faster with the team. So I kept trying to find my team. I kept trying to find, my squad where we can come together and make things happen. And a lot of people in LA, they're individualists instead of team players. And I think that was a part of the issue why we could never put things together and make it happen for ourselves. And then, now I'm part of I have certain people that I can lean on for certain things. But it is ever changing because technology is ever changing. And so you just have to keep relearning, how technology is working, how technology plays into this thing called Hollywood. And once you can, keep growing and keep, going with technology and with at the same time not losing yourself, I think that's the key. That's a part of the key. And believing that you can do it. That's the major key, right? That's the major component. So yeah, so it is ever changing.
How does it feel like what you mentioned before, that you had this dream, and when you arrive, you realize that everyone has the same dream, and you are like, okay, I wasn't the first one that had the idea, and I'm not sure if I'm the most talented one or the most connected one or whatever. How was this change of mentality made? How was it that you realized, okay, it's not only difficult to be really successful, but even as you Americans say, to just put the foot at the door?
I'm gonna tell you, the thing that you have to have is belief in yourself. That comes first, because if you have belief in yourself, you'll find a way to get to wherever you're working to get to. The issue is always with people. It's belief in themselves. It's the lack of belief in themselves. That's the reason why they get swallowed up and they say, you know what, I need to pursue another profession. I need to go back home to wherever they came from. That's the difference between a lot of the people that made it and a lot of people that didn't and made it. What does that mean? That is, I would say made it is like whatever you call success. Some people call success being on a TV show. Some people call success creating your own TV show. Whatever made it means to you. It all comes down to, what you want for yourself and what you believe, you can do.
How is the process for getting something done in Hollywood? Is it like really hard to make it and then things start dropping like dominoes, or is it like today is a done deal, then the next is start from scratch, and then it is again a done deal? Is it really difficult to travel these waters and have certainty in an industry that is always changing? And as we mentioned before, everyone wants to be in it.
Yeah, it is, because you even have big celebrities, big directors that think that their project is going to get funded, and then they get the green light. A studio says we want this project, and then all of a sudden it falls apart for one reason or another. So yeah, it is difficult to get things done in Hollywood. But then again, everything comes, it gets to a point where you say, okay, I need a team. I need a team. So I have achieved a certain amount of success in LA. So I need some people that believe in me and believe that the product that I'm selling, whether it's a film, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a skit, I need some people to believe that if we can come together, and I'll make everybody, and this is just an example, I'll make everybody on the team a producer. If we can just get this project done, and then at the end of the day, I'll break the money up with everybody on the crew, right? But there's different ways. That's not the way, but there's different ways you can break bread and make things happen. Because now a lot of the industry is in the filmmaker's hand. Because now you can get, the stuff that it used to take $500,000, $2 million, $10 million back in the day. Now, because of technology, things are a lot more attainable. Easy to get things done because they're so much cheaper, still with high quality. And so, the roadblocks that people used to run into, there are still roadblocks there, but they have lessened quite a bit.
You mentioned that you're also an entrepreneur. So what are the similarities and the differences that you find between someone who is working at the film industry and an entrepreneur?
Yeah. It's the guts. Like, from the outside, someone that is pursuing an acting career versus something that there's an equation for, where, all you have to do is achieve this level of success in the classroom. Then you can get a job in the government, or you can get a job in the classroom, pass these tests, and then you can get a job. Now, same thing, that is not, you cannot just pass some tests and can be and guaranteed to be on a TV show. You cannot pass some tests and know that the product that you're selling as an entrepreneur, that this is going to work, it's going to fly off the shelf. You cannot guarantee that. Because you can't guarantee it, those two, being an entrepreneur and being an actor, they're both very challenging. And that's why the safer route is to, get an education, go with the thing that there's an equation for. Because there's no equation as an entrepreneur. There's no equation for an actor. You go out there and every day you're being rejected. You try to sell this and you're being rejected, even from your friends. So yeah, there is the guts and the belief in yourself. Again, everything comes down to that, so yeah, it's very, very difficult, but very rewarding when you believe in yourself enough to go out there and to do the thing that you believe that you can do, and then you succeed.
Is it weird for you seeing yourself on the screen or watching something that you wrote or that you produce? Because I know that some people or some actor and actresses say that they never watch it because they are their own worst critic and it just feels weird. Does that happen to you, or do you, or do the es que no, la última parte, or do you enjoy seeing yourself?
Hey, Sebastian, I like watching it by myself first.
Okay.
And I am nervous. I am nervous when I'm watching it. You know, but yeah, I would rather watch it by myself first and then get the gang to watch it. But a lot of times I can't prevent it because of the time difference. A lot of people see it before I see it.
And do you enjoy watching yourself, watching the show you made? Do you feel proud? Do you feel weird? Like, who is that guy on the screen?
I feel proud. I feel proud. It is. I do feel proud. It doesn't feel weird, but I do feel proud, nervous and proud.
What will you recommend to people who want to get in the film industry?
The best way I can answer that is if I had to do it over again, and I was 21, I wouldn't have come to LA and got my headshots right away and go out for parts right away. I would study for a couple of years, and then, because one thing about first impressions, you can never have a second impression. It's the first impression. You have to do a lot to get rid of that first impression. And so if you perform in front of a casting director and you screw up like miserably, that can be the death of you, because then it'll be hard to get back in that office again. They would have to see you do something and then audition for them again. But you want to make sure that every time you see a casting director, to the best of your ability, you want to make sure you just knock it out of the park.
Well, as you know, last year we had a pandemic and it hit a lot of industries. One of the industries that was hit the most was the film industry, the entertainment industry. So I just want to ask you, as someone who is inside said industry, how did you live that change? Movie theaters closing, many productions put on hold. How did someone that works in the film industry live the change due to COVID?
COVID actually, it actually affected me because I was directing a documentary at the time, and we started part of the project, and then we were waiting for the rest of the financing to come. Well, because of COVID, they didn't know how long the break was going to, how long it was going to affect the U.S. And so the investors decided to pull out. So that's one way it affected me personally. And so, but when I realized that, during that time, I had also booked a film. I mean, the TV show. And, and then I said, I have to do something. Like, I just can't just sit around and just wait for this industry to figure it out. And so to myself, I said, okay, what are the things I can do? All right, I can start my e-commerce business. I can also, what if I did an animated project? And so those are the things that I started working on, because we never knew when we were going to end up coming out of it. So that's why you always have to be able to think on your feet, because any industry, depending upon what happens in the world, any industry can crumble. You just have to be strong enough mentally to be able to pick up the pieces and just go.
you're an actor, you're a writer, you're a producer. I know they are kind of connected and that you basically use your creative side on all of them. But when you're writing, how does your creative process, way of working change from when you are acting, from when you are producing, etc.?
Because I'm a producer, you know, uh, I've been producing since 2006. Because I'm a producer, when I'm creating something, when I'm writing a piece, I'm thinking about the most creative way that I can get my thoughts out there as an artist. And I start off thinking big. Then as a producer, my producer hat, clicks on, and I start thinking, okay, that means we would have to have a football stadium in order to do that. Okay, let me reel it back in. How can I now have that same creativity, still have the audience at the edge of their seat, but shoot it for less? Okay, CG. Okay, I know have some friends in CG. Let me call them to see how much it'll cost. So now I just cut down on costs because of locations. So I'm always wearing, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always wearing different hats. For example, the other day I was coaching my niece because I'm also an acting coach, and so I was coaching my niece, and I know as a producer, I know as a director, I know as an actor, certain things that you should or shouldn't do in the space. So I'm teaching her what to do and what rules to break in order to land the job, in order to make sure you are as true to that character as possible. So you're always wearing all the hats. Thankfully, I've been blessed with these different titles so that I can see these different things, because without it, I think as a writer, I do think, I would have been limited.
What are the lessons that you think you've learned working in the film industry that you wouldn't have gotten anywhere else? Good lessons or bad lessons?
Albert Einstein, I wish I could remember his quote, but it talks about how imagination, how important imagination is, and how more important your imagination is than a lot of things. More than brain power, right? And so being able to be creative, just like what we spoke about, we spoke about the COVID. You have to be able to be to move move this way. So you have to be, you have to be creative. You have to be nimble, and I don't know if I was, in the workforce working a 9 to 5. I don't know if I would have had that. If I would have been able to maneuver like I maneuver, because I am always thinking there's another way, there's a back door, there's a shortcut. That's how I always think. And I don't know if there's a bad, a, a bad. You said what are the good ways? What are the? I don't know if there's a bad. I just think it's always been. Yeah, I just think it's always been good. Me being able to find a solution when it doesn't appear to be a solution.
Michael, to start wrapping this up, the last question we make to every guest in the Keep It Up show is basically 3 do's and 3 don'ts for entrepreneurs. Basically, 3 things they should do and 3 things they shouldn't do. So basically, what are your 3 do's and 3 don'ts for entrepreneurs?
Good question. Good question. I tell you what. I'll give you the most important thing. If you say to yourself, I want to be an entrepreneur. You have to have a coach. You have to have a coach. You cannot just say, I can wing it, I could do it on my own. You have to have a reliable coach, right? So every team, whether it's basketball, you name a team, right? My brother's a coach. And so on a team, you have very skilled players. You take the coach away, they're just very skilled players, and they don't have a direction. The point guard would try to run some plays, but everybody would just feel like they need to shoot the ball. So as an entrepreneur, you need a coach. And sometimes that will involve, money. It would involve hiring a coach. And sometimes coaches can be expensive, but it's all about finding the right coach, and then finding the right coach that will guarantee your success in the business that you plan on spending a lot of time and making mistakes, but also winning. But if you have a coach, you'll win a lot faster. And so, even though you said three things, I think that's the most important thing. And that's, to me, I want to say that's the only thing, but the coach will ask you questions like, how much money do you have saved up? Do you have a website? But then the coach will even direct you. I was fortunate with a couple of coaches and that I'm working with now. I have a coach, her name is Forbes Riley, but also I have another coach and friend, Christy Rutherford. And both of these women are, in their own right, they're phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. And so when you invest in a coach, you're really investing in yourself. And so the don't do's is think you can do it by yourself and get advice from everybody. That's the major don't do. That's really my advice. I don't have three tips. I just have one do and one don't do. It's really that simple.
Perfect. So, Michael, if anyone wanted to watch your work, get acquainted with you on social media and your different works, how can they find you?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So I have a website, and my website is michaelflowersjr.com, MichaelFlowersJR.com. You can also go to my Instagram, which is Michael Flowers Jr. So Instagram is Michael Flowers Jr. And I want you to follow me. That's very important. Follow me. My website is kingmeacademy.com. You'll see shirts like this. And you also see my cologne. This is look in the mirror, your royalty. Again, www.kingmeacademy.com. Soon there'll be a school and other things that you can purchase. Stay tuned. It's going to be dope. So those are the ways that you can also email me at michaelflowersjr@gmail. So that's me in a nutshell.
Perfect. So, Michael, I want to thank you a lot for your time. And as we say on this program, keep it up.
Keep it up. Thank you so much, Sebastian. I appreciate you, man.